Tell me if you heard this before. Police in America started off as slave catchers. That's not the full story, but it's not completely wrong either. America never had one policing origin, it had two. What the Southern version was actually built to do is the part they never fully explain. Picture Boston in the 1600s. No sirens, no badges, no blue uniforms. Just a handful of neighbors, lanterns in hand, walking the crooked streets after dark. In 1636, the town passed an ordinance. 4 men on watch every night from sunset to sunrise. Their job was to keep an eye out for fire, chase off thieves, and make sure nobody was getting rowdy. And these watchmen were not some elite squad either. Every able-bodied man, usually a property owner, took his turn. Miss your shift and you would get slapped with a fine or lose your spot in the community. That is how it worked. A rotation, a duty, not a career. The constable ran the show during daylight, serving warrants and keeping the peace. But only with the magistrate's say-so. No lone wolf action here. If you wanted to arrest somebody, you needed paperwork and oversight. The records from Boston's Night Watch, stretching back to the 1760s, read like a small-town gossip column. Drunks, petty theft, noisy parties. Not a word about hunting down runaways or enforcing racial codes. Their beat was fire and property, not people's skin color. Funding came from the town's pocket, approved in public meetings. The selectmen held the receipts, and if a watchman got out of line, he answered to his neighbors. This was community self-defense, plain and simple. It is not glamorous, but it is real. America had more than one policing origin. In the North, it started with folks just trying to keep their homes from burning down and their stuff from walking off. The Southern story is a whole different animal, and we will get there. But up here, the Night Watch was about civic safety, not controlling who could walk the street. That is the part they do not teach in school, but it is right there in the old city ledgers. Down south, the story wasn't about putting out fires or chasing drunks. Here's how it went. The law put pen to paper and built a patrol system straight out of the slave codes. Virginia's law of 1705 and South Carolina's Negro Act of 1740 didn't bother with polite language. They spelled it out. Every white man between 16 and 60 was expected to serve. These weren't volunteers. This was duty enforced by the state, with your name on a militia roster and your orders in black ink. Patrol captains set the schedule, picked the beat, and made sure every corner of plantation country was covered. Now, what did these patrols actually do? 5 core jobs, all about domination. First, they hunted down runaways. No warrant, no questions, just chase and capture. Second, they searched cabins, barns, and fields for weapons, reading materials, or anybody hiding out. Third, they checked passes. Every black person on the road had to show written proof just to walk, or risk a beating, a fine, or both. Fourth, they broke up gatherings, because any group of black folks was treated like a plot for rebellion. Fifth, if you got caught, punishment came quick. Whippings, stocks, or worse, handed out on the spot, no judge needed. This was surveillance before the word got fancy. The law made it legal to invade homes, demand papers, and punish with violence, night after night, year after year. These patrols didn't answer to the community, they answered to the county and the plantation class. America had more than one policing origin, but in the South, let's not play dumb. The badge did not erase the blueprint. It just changed the uniform. Freedom hit the South in 1865, but the ink on the Emancipation Proclamation was barely dry before lawmakers started cooking up new ways to keep black people under their thumb. Mississippi wasted no time. By the end of that year, they put a black code into the law books. The law said if you were a freedman, without lawful employment, you could be arrested for vagrancy. If you did not have a white boss and a signed contract, you were breaking the law just by standing around. The fine could be up to $10, which might as well have been $100 for people just coming out of bondage. If you could not pay, the sheriff would lease you out to a white landowner until your debt was worked off. Alabama's code was not any softer. In March 1865, they passed a law that called any black person idle if they were not under contract. Fines ranged from $5 to $15 or 6 months locked up and then forced to sign on with a white employer. The language was cold. All colored persons not under a lawful contract shall be considered idle. The badge did not erase the blueprint. The chains came off the ankle and moved into the law book. Vagrancy became the new pass law, and sheriffs became the new patrollers, funneling black people from the street to the jailhouse and from the jailhouse back into the fields. In Mississippi alone, more than 3,000 black men and women were hit with vagrancy charges in 1866. Alabama was not far behind. The system was slick, freedom in name, but the law turned everyday life into a crime. America had more than one policing origin, but in the South, let's not play dumb. The pipeline from patrols to police ran straight through these black codes, and the story did not stop there. Freedom on paper didn't mean freedom on the ground. Southern lawmakers just swapped out the chains for contracts and called it legal. Alabama's convict leasing deals in the 1880s paid the state as little as $5 a head per year, cheaper than feeding a mule. County payroll ledgers list black men and boys leased out to coal mines, brickyards, and railroads. The numbers weren't small. By the 1890s, Alabama pulled in over $100,000 a year from these contracts. That's not a typo. The state made more money off convict leasing than from taxes on cotton or corn. The badge did not erase the blueprint. The courthouse and the sheriff's office became the new auction block. Chain gangs weren't a movie set. They were real. Equipment lists from county jails read like torture catalogs. 12-pound iron shackles, 4-foot steel chains, wooden gang bars. Prisoners marched in lines, swinging sledgehammers or laying track, all under shotgun guard. The state bought the chains in bulk and shipped them out by the crate. Convicts died by the hundreds every year from exhaustion, disease, and violence. Nobody paid for the bodies, just for the labor. Meanwhile, city halls passed ordinances that spelled out where black folks could walk, sit, or gather. Montgomery's 1905 code banned black passengers from sitting next to whites on streetcars. Atlanta city ordinances set curfews for black neighborhoods. No loitering after dark, no standing on corners in groups. These weren't just rules, they were blueprints for control, enforced by men whose grandfathers rode with the patrols. America had more than one policing origin, but in the South, let's not play dumb. The law just put on a new uniform, but the job stayed the same. Keep black people in line, keep the money flowing, and keep the old order breathing. Uniforms came in, but the old habits did not pack up and leave. Atlanta, 1882, the city council sits down and votes on a shiny new police department with ranks, badges, blue coats, the whole nine. But crack open those formation minutes and you will find the same playbook, just with fancier ink. The city mapped out precincts so tight you could trace the color line right on the beat map. The western beat was where the black neighborhoods lived, and the assignment orders spelled it out. Patrols to verify all persons of color with travel passes. They did not even bother hiding it. Segregated beats, segregated rules. The badge did not erase the blueprint. It just covered it in brass and buttons. The department called itself modern, but the job stayed the same. Keep black folks watched, keep the old order breathing. That is how policing claimed neutrality, by dressing up old power in new clothes. Trust is a stubborn thing, especially when history keeps receipts. In the 1930s, a black woman told the WPA interviewer that they say the patroller's gone, but the fear still walks. That line didn't die in the cotton fields. It got passed down. Kitchen table to kitchen table, church pew to street corner. Today, you don't need a historian to explain why so many black folks side-eye the badge. Just look at the numbers. A 2021 survey found only 18% of black Americans said they had a lot of trust in police. Less than 1 in 5. Not every cop is a slave catcher, but the shadow of those old patrols still falls across the sidewalk. That's not just trauma. That's memory sharpened by lived experience and stories that never got a chapter in the school book. The badge did not erase the blueprint. So the question is, what does America owe when the roots of the tree are still tangled in old chains? America had more than one policing origin, but in the South, let's not play dumb. The chains came off the ankle and moved into the law book. The badge did not erase the blueprint. That's why trust stays broken until history gets confronted, not just rewritten. Drop your thoughts below.